Welcome back to Freedom to Nourish, the podcast that challenges diet culture, promotes body neutrality, and helps you find peace with food and your body. I'm your host, Kathy Salata, and today's episode is all about the science of what happens when you stop dieting. Have you ever wondered what's really going on in your body and brain when you ditch the diets and lean into intuitive eating? What does the research say about metabolic changes, psychological shifts, and long-term health outcomes? So let's dive in. Diet culture and toxic wellness trends can make you feel like you're at war with your own body, constantly doubting yourself and chasing impossible standards. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm Kathy Salata, a recovered anorexia survivor and educator, and this is Freedom to Nourish. Each week we'll have real conversations, share stories, and give you tools to finally make peace with food and respect your body. No more food rules, no more body shame, just the freedom to be yourself again. Have you ever watched a child eat? It's honestly incredible. Children are born knowing how to eat. They ask for food when they're hungry, they stop when they're full, and they often crave a variety of flavors and textures. They're natural, intuitive eaters. But something starts to change. Usually around age 10, sometimes even earlier, we begin to hear messages like, "Are you sure you want seconds? You don't need that, you just ate." We're told to watch what we eat and at the same time to be good, to clean our plate even when we're full, or to wait until mealtime even when we're generally hungry in between meals. And just like that, we begin to distrust our bodies. And eventually, our bodies stop trusting us. Yes, my friends, we have officially been initiated into diet culture. For me, that initiation happened young. I grew up in a family where food was tightly controlled. I wasn't allowed to eat between meals, even if I was starving. But when it was time to eat, I was expected to clean my plate, even if I was full. Hunger and fullness were irrelevant. My body's cues didn't matter. I wasn't taught to listen, I was taught to obey. And while I developed disordered eating patterns that lasted for years, I want to pause and say this. Even those who don't think they have food issues may be suffering the side effects of dieting, because dieting is traumatic to the body. Think about it. I'd like us to go back to an old experiment back from the 1940s during World War II. So there were these researchers at the University of Minnesota, and they conducted a famous study known as the Minnesota Starvation Experiment. What was the goal of this? To understand how to refeed people after famine or war-related starvation. What'd they do? They took 36 healthy young men who volunteered to eat about half of their normal intake for about 6 months. This wasn't extreme starvation. It mimicked typical calorie restrictions seen in modern day diets, around 1,500 calories a day. The results were devastating. These men developed obsession with food. They thought about it constantly. Depression, anxiety, cold intolerance, fatigue, hair loss, binge eating during the refeeding phase. Some even hoarded recipes in food-related magazines. Sound familiar? It's a mirror image of what so many people experience after chronic dieting. What's even more shocking is that these symptoms weren't due to personality flaws or lack of willpower. They were simply the body and brain responding to restriction. So if you've ever felt out of control around food, or if you've blamed yourself for failing a diet, it's not a personal weakness, it's a biological survival response. In today's episode, we're going to explore what really happens biologically, emotionally, psychologically when you stop dieting and start eating intuitively because your body was never the problem. The rules were. For decades, we've been told that dieting is the answer to better health. But science tells a different story. When we restrict food, either through calorie counting, intermittent fasting, keto, clean eating, our body's going to fight back. It is a biological response. First, our brain is going to get involved. It's going to detect famine. Our hypothalamus perceives dieting as a threat. Research from the National Institute of Health shows that when you reduce calorie intake, the body activates a starvation response, slowing the metabolism and increasing the cravings. You may have heard of the hormones ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is going to increase your hunger. And when you diet, that's going to rise. Leptin, which signals fullness, is going to drop. So you're going to be fighting your body the entire time. Second thing, our metabolism starts slowing down. In the Minnesota Starvation Experiment, it's one of the most referenced studies of what happens when people chronically restrict food. The men experienced dramatic drops in metabolic rates, preoccupation with food, and emotional distress. And these were healthy men. Then we have something called the weight cycling and set point theory. When you stop dieting, your body often returns to its natural set point weight. According to Dr. Mann, author of Secrets from the Eating Lab, 95% of diets fail long term. Most people regain the weight, and 2/3 end up weighing more than before. The cycle of losing and gaining is called weight cycling. I call it yo-yo dieting, and it's linked to the heart disease, inflammation, higher mortality risk. So what happens when you stop dieting? One, you're going to rebuild trust with your body. When you eat enough and consistently without labeling foods as good or bad, your body begins to trust that food is available. You stop binging. You stop obsessing. Second, your hormones are going to begin to normalize. In a 2014 study published in Obesity Reviews, participants who stopped dieting and began eating normally showed improved leptin and ghrelin regulation within weeks. Cravings decreased as the body no longer feared famine. You're no longer fighting with your body. Metabolism is going to begin to stabilize. There was a 2020 article in Frontiers of Nutrition that found that intuitive eaters often have healthier weights and better metabolic indicators than chronic dieters. Without calorie restriction, your body doesn't need to slow your resting metabolic rate and to conserve energy. Then we have our improved mental health. Studies from the Journal of Counseling, Psychology, and Appetite consistently show that intuitive eaters report less anxiety, reduced depression, and higher body satisfaction. Food becomes enjoyable again, not a source of guilt or shame. So let's talk a little bit about what our response could be, and that is intuitive eating. You might be asking, what is intuitive eating? I've heard about it. And why does it work? So intuitive eating was created by two researchers, and it's based on 10 principles, including rejecting the diet mentality, honoring your hunger, making peace with food, and respecting your body. A systematic review from Public Health Nutrition in 2013 found that people who were intuitive eaters, they had a lower BMI, even without intentional weight loss, higher self-esteem, improved cholesterol levels, and less disordered eating. This is because intuitive eating is not about controlling your body, it's about listening to it. Unlike dieting, which fosters disconnection, intuitive eating promotes interoceptive awareness, the ability to sense internal cues like hunger, fullness, and satisfaction. A 2019 study in eating behaviors even used brain imaging to show that intuitive eaters had greater activation in the insula. This is the part of the brain that's associated with internal awareness and emotion regulation. So interesting. So let's talk a little bit about some of the myths that are out there. Let's just try to bust a few of them. Myth 1. If I stop dieting, I'll eat everything and never stop. The truth, when you first stop restricting, yes, there may be a honeymoon phase, but once your body trusts you again, cravings balance out. This is called habituation. And I would love to share my own story. I had that honeymoon period, and believe it or not, after a few weeks, I started craving healthy foods, or what is considered healthy foods, and my binge cravings reduced. I don't think that there's good foods and bad foods out there. However, I kind of liken it to Disneyland. I love Disneyland. I live about 20 minutes away, and if I had an annual pass that on no blackout days I can go unlimited, the first couple weeks, I'm going to be there every minute that that place is open. But after a couple of weeks, the urge, the desire just naturally lessens. I've had my fill. And that is what happens when you stop dieting. Eventually, that honeymoon phase ends and you start to normalize. Myth 2. Intuitive eating means eating junk food all day. First, I don't consider that there is junk food, but intuitive eaters include something called gentle nutrition. Once food is neutralized, there's not good food and bad food, your body is going to crave a balance. Protein, fiber, carbs, color. But the balance can only come from freedom, not rules. Myth number 3. Health only comes with weight loss. The truth, health is about behaviors, not body size. The Health at Every Size framework, backed by decades of research, shows that people of all sizes can improve health markers through behavior changes alone. So let's talk about what we can do today. If you're ready to stop dieting, I'm going to give you just 3 science-backed actions to take today. I don't want to overwhelm you. There's lots out there. The first one, and this was so helpful to me in my journey, is to keep a hunger and fullness log. Not to restrict, but to observe. It was so helpful for me to identify, to get back into that intuition. Oh, yes, Kathy, you are hungry. You need a snack. Yes, Kathy, you are full. Intuitive eating, we honor our hunger, we honor our fullness. But you need to recognize what hunger and fullness actually feel like. If you consider hunger when my stomach growls, that's way too late. You're setting yourself up for a binge. 2, let's start to eat consistently, every 3 to 4 hours, and let's include all the food groups, variety, balance, moderation. And number 3, add, don't subtract. Ask, what can I add to this meal for more nourishment or satisfaction? And most importantly, give yourself compassion. This is a process of unlearning, not perfection. So, in closing, what happens when you stop dieting? Your body begins to trust you. Your brain calms down. Your metabolism finds balance. And you get to live without this constant battle. Remember, you were not born hating your body, fearing food. That was taught. But you can unlearn it, and science is on your side. Today's episode spoke to you. Share it with a friend. Subscribe, rate, leave a review, and if you're ready to go deeper into this journey, check out some upcoming programs and live sessions that we're going to have in the near future. Until next time, nourish your body, honor your story, and break free from the rules that never served you. If you're ready to step into a kinder, fuller life, subscribe now and join me each week for Freedom to Nourish. Because your body deserves respect, your story deserves to be heard, and you deserve to live fully right now.